Hi my loves, you are welcome to Olives. In this video I'll share with you a quick tutorial on how to cut a male shirt, so do keep on watching and let's get right into this video. I'm going to first work on my front length, and the front length is 26 inches. I'll add extra half inch to hem the lower part of this shirt. The back length, for the back length I'll add extra 3.5 inches or 4 inches. If you are working, you can add extra 4 inches as well. From the edge of this fabric I'll mark a border line, and right from that point I'll mark 2.5 inch button overlap. Okay, and I'll draw a straight line, and where I'm drawing the straight line is going to be my center front, so I'll align the center back of the back piece right on it this way. The across back measurement I'm working with is 18 inches. I'm going to divide this by 2, which is 9, and add extra half inch for joining the shirt to a sleeve, so that is 9.5 inch. I'll mark down 2 inches as shoulder slope and slant it this way. There is a difference between the front length and the back length, which is about 3.5 to 4 inches. Okay, so the back length is longer than the front length. So right now, after slanting the shoulder, I'm going to meet the hem like this to make sure both hems are on the same line. All right, and I'll send this button overlap behind the front like this, so it doesn't tamper with any measurement. And this is what I have. So you see the excess at the top of the back. Right here is the hem of the shirt. Okay, at the top part of this shirt I have an excess on the back, right, which is the extra 3.5 inches I added to the back, and it is reflecting here, right? So I'm going to mark half inch from the edge of the front shoulder slope like this, and I'm going to fold in the excess of the back and press it right on that half inch I marked. Right here on the fold I'll mark 9.5 inches across back measurement, and I'll mark the same 9.5 inches as the depth of the armhole. This line is also going to serve as the chest line, so I'll mark the same 9.5 inches I marked and make a straight line like this. Okay, on the chest line I'll divide the chest measurement I'm working with by 4. All right, so from the center front like this I'll mark the quarter of my chest. Okay, I'll then add extra 1.5 inch allowance. You may do 1 or even half inch. The distance I have here I'll divide it into 2. Right on that mark I'll go in by 3/4 inch, which is going to serve as the front armhole depth. I'm going to connect it this way. Okay, and also connect with a straight line to meet the shoulder this way. That's for the front armhole. Okay, for the back I marked 1/4 inch and connected just like I connected for the front, and here is the back armhole as well. Okay, so moving down to the hem, whatever measurement I have on my chest including the sewing allowance, I'll mark the same thing on the hem. So I want the lower part of this shirt to have a curve, so I went up by 1.5 inch, and for the curve I'm going to exclude my sewing allowance, which is 1.5 inch. Okay, and then from the center front I marked about 3.5 inch just for a guideline and curve it to the side like this. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and also work around the neck. I'll use a neck depth of 4 inches right from the folded part on the back like this, and the width is going to be 2.5 inches. Okay, I'll go ahead and curve it this way just as shown. I went ahead to measure the total neck line, so to be sure of the actual neckline I'm working with. Okay, so what I have here is 15 inches, which is what I am looking for. So I'll go ahead and cut it this way. While cutting, I'll make sure not to cut the back piece. Okay, all we are doing is to cut the front and the little part of the back, and this is how it looks like. Now at the back shoulder you see that it is pointed, so I'm going to take off that pointed side so it blends with the shoulder as well and just cut it off. The first armhole cut I am doing is for the back. Okay, so after cutting for the back, okay, I'll go in for the front, excluding the back armhole line. You see what I'm talking about right now? I'll put my hand in between like this and separate the front piece from the back piece, and then just cut out for the front armhole. So do you see the difference? So here I'm putting all my notches in place, and we'll move ahead to draft the sleeve. I'll mark the total armhole of just the back armhole, that's half of the armhole. Okay, I'll draw in my starting point. The sleeve length I'm working with is 7 inches. I'll add 2 inches allowance, 1.5 for hemming and half inch to join to the armhole of the shirt. I'll go ahead and measure from the starting point 4 inches, okay, and then put this into a straight line as well. Now the measurement we took from the back piece, which is 11.5 inch, I'll slant it like this and measure. Within these 11.5 inches, I have 1.5 as joining allowance, so I'm going to exclude it and connect this to the crown of the sleeve. I went ahead to divide the slanted distance by 3, and above here I'll mark half inch, okay, connect this half inch from the pointed part to meet this other one like this. Please, you have to forgive me for rushing. I didn't plan to record, but I just wanted to share, and this is what we are going through. But I hope you try and understand something and pick something from this video. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'll still continue anyways. I'm going to cut out the shape of my sleeve. Okay, now the first curve on the sleeve is just for the back. Okay, so I'm going to cut out just as I said, and after cutting, I'll grab the sleeve by opening it this way. I'll keep them together and notch the center of the sleeve. On the part where I have the chalk, I'll go ahead and go in a little bit like this to determine the front armhole of the sleeve. Okay, so this is my sleeve. All I'm going to do is to go ahead and join them together. I've worked on the hem of the sleeve. Okay, now for the shirt, we use a total button overlap of 2.5 inch, right? So I went ahead to fold that button overlap this way for both sides of the front, and this is how it looks like. So the next thing to do is to work on the shoulder. I place the front and back piece together and then pin the shoulders together. Then I went ahead to join them with half inch. Let's move on to draft the collar as well. I'm going to use violin to work on it, but then I need to measure the total neck measurement, which is 16 inches. So this violin I have here is a total of 16 inches. I'll leave you to watch how I drafted this collar. While measuring this neck measurement, I excluded the button overlap. All right. Alright, so I'm going to cut my collar this way, as simple as I have marked it, and I'll fuse this collar onto the fabric. I'll fold the fabric into two, having the edge unfold, and I'll add allowance at the side and at the bottom part of the collar. I stitch the allowance and then trim off excess, turn it inside out. And so after turning inside out, I'll go ahead to press, and we'll go ahead to attach it to the neckline of the shirt. So this is how the collar looks like, and I also grab my shirt. I've notched the center of the collar, and I'm going to match it to the center of the shirt as well. Okay, and this is how I'm pinning. Since I excluded button overlap while drafting, it has to also reflect, and so I have this strap here on bias cut, and I'm going to fold it this way. Okay, unfold and pin it right from the button overlap, the edge of the button overlap through like this, and I'm going to stitch as shown. So this way I'll be able to also neaten the edge of the button overlap. I'll move on to under stitch and also stitch again. So this is how it looks like after stitching. The last thing is to work on button and buttonhole. I hope you learned something from this video. Then hit on the like button, subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.